It's the middle of the day, and everyone's phone emits a piercing, buzzing sound. You look at your phone and see an Amber Alert for a missing child. You see that it's a local child who has been abducted, and the message provides the description of a car and a license plate. Most people would love to help locate a missing child. Very few people know how they can help.
There are actually a lot of things you can do to help find missing children and adults in your area. And no, you don't have to be SAR certified or start hiking into remote areas of the wilderness to find them. Most of the ideas I'm going to recommend in this video are things you can do weeks or months after a person disappears seemingly off the face of the planet. Fortunately, in the minutes or days after an Amber Alert, a non-custodial parent is usually located and the child is recovered. In the case of runaways, those children are often located also in just weeks or days after they're reported missing. In fact, according to the Committee for Missing Children, out of the 500,000 children that are reported missing every year, 97.8% of them are found. More than 90% of disappearances that happen every year are usually runaways or parental abductions. But what about the remaining few that aren't found? What can a regular person do that can help find a missing person? What can you do if you feel passionate about finding the missing, but lack the health or stamina to go traipsing through urban or wilderness areas to find them?
If you volunteer with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, you'll have opportunities to do things like help out with fundraisers or local awareness events, or participate in safety events that teach children how to protect themselves from predators. Or you could help assemble hope bags. These are bags filled with the necessities that are given to children who are recovered after abductions. If you want to get out and drive the neighborhoods where the child went missing to look for any clues, why not volunteer with Find the Children? Their primary volunteer activity is helping to raise awareness by distributing flyers at local stores, gas stations, libraries, schools, and recreation centers. The organization mails out a monthly packet of flyers, and all you have to do is go for a drive around town and distribute them. If your passion is research, you may be able to help out with Saved in America. This organization certifies active or retired law enforcement officers to specialize as a certified missing and exploited children investigator. Non-professional volunteers are still able to help by becoming a certified missing and exploited child volunteer. And you'll have opportunities to support the investigative team, help raise awareness, and participate in community outreach events. If you're more of a people person and have a very empathic nature, you can volunteer your time with the Missing Persons Center. With this organization, you will be trained and can focus on offering emotional support to the families of the missing who are going through one of the worst family traumas they may ever experience. By guiding them with empathy through the stages of the search process, you could be a shining light to a family that finds itself being swallowed by darkness. Are you more of an analytics researcher and want to use technology like social media and open source intelligence to help out with missing persons investigations? There are organizations that will accept non-professional volunteers to be trained to do this type of research. One of those is Night Owl Reconnaissance, where you can fill any number of investigative roles. This might include digging through social media for information, location mapping, or cross-referencing and mapping out all open source information about a missing person, their families, and their friends' network.
If you are the type of person that doesn't want to answer to a parent organization, you can do a lot of these things on your own like we do. In fact, we met a whole network of amazing investigators in their own right, and they're mostly private individuals who use open source public information to develop leads about potential search locations. Doing this is great for people who might have retired from a career of research or law enforcement and would like to put their lifelong skills to good use. Once you develop a lead that's strong and supported by good evidence, you can report that to law enforcement or a local search team and potentially provide that much needed tip that could lead to the discovery of a missing person. If you do want to go it alone, I'm going to provide a list of the top resources I use to do this kind of research. Feel free to use any of these in your own investigations.
The most powerful tool I use when first researching a case is OSINT Framework. This free public access tool lets you use any of the 33 research categories available to start digging for information. A lot of the tools in these categories do require some advanced understanding of what you're looking for and how to find it. For example, if you've done a public records search and discovered a missing person ran their own website, you can click domain name, Whois records, and then use the domain dossier tool to identify all contact and ownership information about that website server. The list of tools in OSINT Framework is extensive, so make sure you study the FAQs, the training guides, and learn all of the resources available. If you join websleuths.com for free, you'll discover a tremendous wealth of information about nearly any missing person case out there. These are entire forums filled with volunteer investigators who regularly scour the internet or other sources for more information on missing persons cases. If you just use the search bar to look up the missing person's name, you'll usually find a long list of posts from researchers digging into that case. Click a post to be taken to that thread and dig through the details. The great thing about most of the people who post here is that they understand the importance of evidence and not just making baseless claims like you'll find on social media. So with most of the posts, you'll also find a link to the evidence supporting their post. NamUs, or the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, is a vast repository and resource center that houses thousands and thousands of missing persons as well as unidentified or unclaimed individuals who've been found. You can register to access the repository as a researcher. Once you have access, you can search cases quickly based on name, state, and county, or you can use the much more valuable advanced search feature. This lets you search by gender, race, height and weight, last known location, physical description, date of last sighting, and much more. The ability to conduct searches like this lets you attempt to potentially cross-reference unidentified or unclaimed discoveries against the circumstances of the case you are actively investigating. The records here for missing persons are pretty thorough, especially when it comes to things like distinctive physical features, circumstances of disappearance, and often in the images and documents section, you'll find multiple images provided that'll help with identification if you ever come across the missing person yourself. The contact section is also useful if you do come across an important lead and need to know who to report it to.
The bottom line is most police departments, especially those in small communities with limited resources, simply don't have the necessary budget to deeply investigate the missing persons cases that fall into their jurisdiction. Detectives require money to bring in SAR teams, search dogs, search equipment, and more. And while they may invest some money in a few searches and invest a percentage of their workday into investigating these cases, detectives have many cases and a lot of law enforcement activities to take care of during their regular work week. If you happen to have a lot of time on your hands and are willing to investigate some of that time in searching for missing people, as you can see, there are a lot of ways to do so. Whether that's supporting the families of the missing, conducting open source investigations to develop leads for law enforcement, or actually getting out in the field and doing everything you can to locate evidence or actual remains, every bit of help is important. Just remember that we work with law enforcement, not in spite of them. So don't waste your time with hunches or theories. Only report solid leads supported by hard evidence. As a team and working together as a community, it is possible to get these missing persons back to their families who are desperate for answers regardless of the circumstances. Families need answers and they shouldn't have to wait years or decades to get them. Thank you all for listening, and I pray that your searches for the missing are successful.